Hello, YouTube. It's Cindy from Seeing Blind. Welcome back to today's live lunch. I'm super excited. I'm currently live on TikTok right now. So we are doing like a double whammy here again, and I'm just getting everybody connected, giving everybody a few minutes to come join. And let me turn all my notifications and all this stuff off, because now my social media, of course, when I go live, it never fails. Anybody else have this happen? Like anytime you're going to do a video or go live, that's when your social media like blows up. Like everybody's trying to send you messages or call you or whatever the case may be. But all right, my friends. So today's live lunch. Welcome. My name is Cindy. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. We're going to start doing live lunches here on TikTok as well as YouTube. Probably most likely just on YouTube though, on Tuesdays and Thursdays around 12:15 or so. So I'm actually going to be closing out the TikTok here pretty soon, and hoping everybody here can go to the profile page. You'll find the link for my YouTube channel, and just, if you don't mind navigating there, you can continue with the blind community chat. Today we're going to dive into more on the topic of independence fatigue, which is the last video I just posted. So we're going to get into that in just a bit. And that's what my kind of agenda is for today's live lunch in our blind community chat here on YouTube. But of course, as usual, as always, it is wide open, up to you guys. Any questions, anything that y'all want to cover today, that is what we're going to do. And I'm just here to support my disabled community, my blind community, anyone who has a parent, a child, a family member, a friend, anything like that, any supporters in our lives. This is just an open chat for everyone to ask their questions. It's just an appropriate, safe place to do so. No one's going to take it personally. You can't offend here. I have gotten a very thick skin, and you almost have to after so many years of being a disabled woman. But it takes a lot to offend me. And now that I really try to take every single question and every single instance in life where my disability comes up, I try to make it a learning opportunity as much as possible. And very little do I try to take it with a grain of salt and not personally, if that makes sense. So it takes a lot to offend me. So, hey, welcome everybody on TikTok. Hi, how are you? How's it going, Dominique? Dominique, I'm getting ready to go live on the YouTube channel. So I don't know if you're able to switch over to there. I'm going to, and just say hi. I'm going to check the comment section here on the YouTube channel and see what's going on with everybody on the YouTube channel. All right. Okay. So if you are in the YouTube chat, I want you all to give an emoji, say hello, introduce yourself, anything like that. Tell me how you're doing today. How's the weather where you're at in the YouTube channel? And we will start taking over there as soon as whoever would like to participate and hang out with us today that's in the TikTok room. If you all want to go ahead and join us on the YouTube, I'm going to start kind of switching things over to the YouTube channel here in just a few seconds. If you're watching the replay here on YouTube, thank you, my friends, for hanging out with us, being patient. I hope you can fast forward probably just a few minutes, and you'll probably catch us in the heat of it here in just a bit as we make this transition from TikTok over to YouTube. And again, guys, you'll find the YouTube. If you have not joined my YouTube channel, it's located in my profile area on my TikTok. And you can just join that YouTube link and find the live. And yeah, join me there and we will get started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start closing out my live. If anyone is still with me here on TikTok, I'm going to close out the TikTok live and continue on my YouTube channel, and we're going to get into the meat of things. So thank y'all so much for joining for the preview show. We just did kind of like a warm up here on TikTok. Thanks for joining me. I'm so glad to see you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful, happy, blessed Tuesday. And again, to join us more for today's discussion, we're going to do it on the YouTube channel. So I'll catch y'all there. Blessings. Okay, so let me figure out how to.
With empty tool close new button. With empty tool close new. And now button. And now.
Okay, so my YouTube friends, it is just us, and we are going to really dive in deep. Now, so as always, my friends, if you have not turned your notifications on, you'll want to do that. That way you can catch when I do go live, it'll alert you and kind of give you a little reminder, and you can decide if you want to join today's chat or not. It's up to you. And hi guys, it's good to see y'all in here. And so yeah, just make sure you hit that notification, turn your notifications on, and that way when I do go live for these community chats, it'll alert you, and you'll also kind of get a 30-minute heads up, that kind of thing. That's another thing I like about the YouTube, going live on YouTube. It just gives you a little bit more of a heads up when I'm going live that day. And like what time and such, because girl, y'all, if you don't know me yet, keeping to a punctual like schedule with my social media is always a huge challenge, because family and kids, and I'm just always kind of flying by the seat of my pants sometimes, and that does not make it easy to keep to a schedule. But anyway, so who else with us today? I might be getting a little close to my computer screen, so pardon me if the angles are all weird and you just see my forehead or something like that. But if any of you guys are visually impaired, blind, or anything like that, and then you kind of understand why we do that. I feel like we all know each other's foreheads pretty good because we can see those pretty well, huh? Let's see. All right, we've got some people. Hi, let's see. Christina. Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. It is a wonderful, beautiful Tuesday today, and I'm so glad because the weather's like starting to warm up even as well. So yeah, today I'm actually kind of excited, y'all, because it's my daughter's birthday week, and we're celebrating her birthday this week. So it's a good week, and the weather's going to be nice. It's going to end up being in the 70s. So my friends, I would like to know, independence fatigue. Have you experienced anything like this? So I'm going to break down what this means to me. It's something, just a name I made up for this phase that I kept finding myself experiencing from time to time. And I did a TikTok video about it a couple of days ago, and it did pretty well. And I got a lot of comments, a lot of people saying, yeah, I can totally relate. And thank you for putting a name to this and all this stuff. And so I'm going to continue this dialogue here on our YouTube channel, in our community here on YouTube, and see what your all's responses are. So independence fatigue is, to me, just a name I'm giving this phase where you're not necessarily depressed. You're not, it's not that your self-care is slacking, or that you're that like life itself is beating you down. But it's just those phases you get into. It's like you're stuck in a rut. You have little motivation for the usual frustrations, struggles, and irritations that life with a disability comes with. And so after so much time of being exposed, being exposed to these, disabled life frustrations and irritations, they just wear you down after a while. And then there's times, a day, a week, a month. Some people were like, hey, I feel like I've been in this phase for 2 years. Someone said in one of the comments on TikTok. And I was like, wow, 2 years. I mean, that is a long time, but I do understand it. I mean, it's hard to pull yourself out of it sometimes, but it's just where you feel like, I'm done. I am mentally and emotionally done with trying to be independent, and trying to think creatively as around my disability and trying to figure out what works and accessible things and tips and hack and just the day-to-day grind of being independent and trying to function in society that's designed against you. It's a constant struggle. And that independence that we strive for, the effort alone can just wear you down. And so in those times, I have little motivation to do much. The bare minimum is about all I make myself do. And it's because I just, I just can't. I can't. I need a break. I want an easy few days, I guess. It's like, when do I get to relax kind of thing and recoup and refresh my body and my mind and my heart and my soul from this disabled life. So anyway, that's kind of a long-winded explanation for what compassion fatigue is for me and not compassion fatigue, independence fatigue. And compassion fatigue, like I had heard of that and I knew that's what I was not experiencing, but yet it's similar in many ways to independence fatigue, which is how I kind of got the name. All right. How is everybody? Has anybody joined us here on YouTube? And so tell me, can you relate to independence fatigue? Is it something that you think you experience yourself? Let me know in the chat. What do you think, guys? Have you ever experienced that where you're not necessarily depressed? You're not necessarily, you're taking care of yourself just fine. It's not that you want to shrug off your responsibilities or just be lazy or anything like that. You're just mentally and emotionally tired of the disabled life frustrations and irritations, and you need a break from it all. The whole striving to be independent. We all want to be independent, right? I mean, we all want to have our own self-autonomy and be treated with respect and do the same thing that everybody else does, but it comes at a price and it can just sometimes wear us down, and some more so than others. So that's why I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Can you all relate to this? Okay, so let's see. Knitting Gone Blind. Hey, is it Mackenzie? I'm terrible with names, y'all. I can't remember Knitting Gone Blind. I've been popping in though on some of your lives here lately, and I've been enjoying your projects and stuff. I still need to start a new knitting project myself. I just finished one the other day. Let's see. Oh, so y'all, it looks like she's saying thank you for following up on this topic. You are so welcome. I really do think it's relatable and not discussed enough. Hello. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
How are you doing? Thank you for bringing up this topic. It's important. Top 3 VPN. Getting online. Yes, it's Mackenzie. Top 3 VPN.
Yes,
Getting online.
good.
Yes, it's Mackenzie. Top 3 VPN. Joseph has a 0101. I might have my own tiny house will be done in May.
Oh my God, tiny house, really? That is so cool. You know, if I didn't have 2 kids, it was just me and my husband, I would totally do a tiny house. You know, we when we lived in South Korea, y'all, we were living in like a little 500 square foot, little bitty tiny place. And, you know, sure, there were days I thought I might rip his hair out, but, you know, we were still married, and, you know, he's not disabled yet. So I guess we could handle a tiny home again.
Top 3 VPN. Joseph has a 0101. I might have my own tiny house will be done in May.
That's so, are you building it? That's so cool. All right. Yes, thank you, Mackenzie. I do think this is independence fatigue is an important, it is an important topic, because a lot of us value our independence, and as we either lose our sight, if it's progressive, or as we age and things become more difficult and adapting becomes more difficult, people don't realize too, as you also with age, we don't always kind of bounce back and go with the flow, and our nerves aren't quite as just flexible, I guess you could say, as they are in our youth. You know, we kind of get a little more overstimulated a bit more. And this is stuff that I try to talk about, because not to age myself, but to just say, I have noticed a difference in these things as I've gotten older. And so because of that, I'm experiencing independence fatigue more frequently. And it's just because I don't have the emotional and mental tolerance that I did when I was younger. Now, I did have more vision when I was younger, so it's all kind of relative. And I think we all do experience independence fatigue in our own unique way. But I still think the general overall concept is something anybody with a chronic illness, with a disability, or anything like that presents extra barriers and extra hoops that we have to jump through on a daily basis to function in society. It's just that extra grind that we have to go through every day. Those extra frustrations, irritations just wear us down, especially when we see everybody else, able-bodied people around us, you know, just take it all for granted, right? All right, my friends, let's see what else is going on. What do y'all think about that? So has anyone experienced this phase?
Top 3 VPN. Getting online. Yes, it's Mackenzie. Top 3 VPN. Getting online. Yes, it's Mackenzie. Top 3 VPN. Joseph has a 0101. I might have my own tiny house will be done in May. Page 2 of 2. Top 3 VPN. Joseph has a 0101. I'm 20 well vision having help from my family building inside about 450 doing what cabin view on inside.
Ah.
Top 3 VPN. Getting online. Yes, it's Mackenzie.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like
Voiceover off.
trying to catch up on the chats. So that's awesome. Dukes of Hazzard, what is your name, sir? I know you're always here and chatting, and you know you've been on my channel here for a long time, but I cannot for the life of me remember your name.
Voiceover on. YouTube. Video player. Top 3 VPN. Joseph has a 0101. I'm 20 well vision having help from my family building inside about 450 doing what cabin view on inside.
So 450 square feet. Is it just you in there? Or will you have other people? So your family's helping you build the house. That is so cool. That's like one of those things that like will follow you your whole life. Like y'all are probably going to have some hilarious stories and things to look back on. I feel like it makes the place so much more, you know, special and significant. Tyler. Okay, sorry. I've got the comments super big on my computer screen, trying to see like, okay, am I going to have to rely still on my on the screen reader to read the comments because I'm actually streaming for the first time from my computer. Woohoo! I almost wish I had like an applause effect because I am like ready for the angels to sing, y'all, because I have been a mobile user only for so many years. And when we moved to Korea, I got rid of my laptop and PC and stuff, and I haven't been on one since. And that was in 2012. And so I just now got a PC up and going that's just for me in the house. Well, not just for me, because I got to, of course, share it with my kids, as is with everything in this house. But I'm streaming from my PC for the first time today. And so I've got this, it's a real big monitor, and I've gotten zoomed in and blown up super, super big. And I was trying to see if I could make it big enough to still read your all's comments and kind of follow it there. So I just read your name, Tyler. That is awesome. Okay, Mr. Tyler. So, well, I am like, again, as I said to Mackenzie earlier, I'm bad with names, but I'm going to do my darndest to associate your name with your YouTube handle. I feel like sometimes that's the kicker with trying to get to know people and build a community and just, figure out how we can support and help each other. I know and recognize everybody's screen names and handles and such, but I can't I'm like, okay, I'd love to keep calling you by your screen name, but it just feels awkward or it's a mouthful. So can you just tell me what your real name is? And it's so funny trying to remember. It's just another thing to keep track of, but at the same time, it helps. All right, I see another knitting gone blind. Are you knitting today, girl?
Voiceover on. California, knitting online. You describe me perfectly, and I think IndependenceFatigue should be normalized. Everyone needs help sometimes.
Yes, everybody does need help sometimes. And, and it's not like we're being lazy. It's not like we're not being independent by recognizing that we're in the phase and we need to step back and we need to take a break. That in and of itself is being an independent person. It's recognizing your needs and making sure they're being met. And that in and of itself is a way of being independent. And so you're totally right. Even able-bodied people experience this from time to time, especially if their job is super stressful, and they're just, they end up going into compassion fatigue, or they end up getting just really apathetic towards life. They overtax themselves, they overstretch themselves. And I just think, though, however, our disability communities are at higher risks of this happening more frequently than able-bodied people, but they still experience it. And that's why, everyone needs to take that 5-10 minute mental break. That's why everybody needs to, have some mindfulness each day to just try to refresh, recoup, and such. But it's a legit thing. I really do feel like it. And I'm so glad that I posted that on TikTok and that we're talking about today, because it validates that, because I've actually been sitting on this, and this is something that I've been, just in my own kind of journey as a disabled mom. This is something I've been sitting on for a couple years and just continuing to reflect on and identify when I hit these phases. But I never really knew if anyone could relate. I didn't know if it was just me. I didn't know if it was normal. And that's kind of been the biggest blessing for me out of this community chat here today and on TikTok is, yes, it is normal. And it's not just for the blind, visually impaired community. It's for the disabled community. It's for those with chronic illness. It's for even able-bodied people, for caregivers, everybody. It is extremely normal.
12:33 p.m. 2 0101. I'm not have my own tiny house will be done in May. 12:35 p.m. 12:40 p.m. Knitting online. You describe me perfectly, and I think IndependenceFatigue should be normalized. Page 202. 12:40 p.m. 2 Maybe try making a black background with white letter. I know it helps me not have to have it so big. 12:40 p.m. 2 Maybe try making a black background with white letter. I know it helps me not have to have it so big.
Yeah. Tyler, are you talking about What are you wanting to have the background black? I too like that too. Like it's that's the they call it like inverted contrast, or at least that's how I describe it. I don't know if that's like the official term, but I do too love like white letters on a black background, which is what I wish TikTok would do. If TikTok would do that, I might actually be live more on TikTok.
Maybe try making black background with white letter. I know it helps me not have to have it so big.
But and if you're talking about the phone, like I don't know if you all can see on the camera, but I put everything in dark mode. So dark mode is now a new like accessibility feature that it's in your YouTube settings. It's also in TikTok settings. You can select dark mode, and that's like I have to have it in dark mode. Otherwise, everything when it's like bright and white, it hurts my eyes. So I only last maybe 5-10 minutes. I can't stand like the bright backlight. And so having white pop up on a black background is the only way that I can really navigate. And so if I'm using an app or I'm doing something on any of my devices and they don't have the dark mode thing, then I have a kind of I don't know, it's an iPhone trick, my friends. If you go to, I don't know if you're an Android or an iPhone user, but if you're an iPhone user and you go to accessibility and you go to back tap, you can create shortcuts and such. So I have a back tap shortcut for invert colors. So if there's something really, really bright and I'm wanting it to be white letters on a black background, like you say, Tyler, then I'll just back tap and to invert my colors. And so for the places that are not in dark mode, it'll do that. So that's a little tip hack for y'all. But I still have to make it super freaking big in dark mode to read it. Hence why I do screen readers. All right.
Oh. Voiceover on YouTube. 12:40 p.m. Editing online. You just write it perfectly. And I think IndependenceFatigue should be on 12:40 p.m. Joseph has it. Page 3 of 3. 12:46 p.m. Joseph has it 0101. Invert color maybe was wondering who else uses it. I have dark mode for YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. I use invert for everything.
Yes, I use dark mode for everything as well. I was so pleased when I started seeing that as an accessibility feature because it's really easy on everybody's eyes. There's so many freaking uses and benefits to dark mode. It saves your battery. I don't know if you knew that, but your battery will last longer on your devices. And yeah, it's just all around a good thing. I really wish, the entire iOS system would just have a dark mode setting, because the thing I hate about when you invert colors is if there's like a logo or like a picture or anything like that, it inverts all that as well, and then they just don't look right. And so I almost wish there was like an accessibility feature, and this may exist and I just have not discovered it yet because I'm not always playing around with these features, especially since I think there's a new iOS update once again, and I just don't always explore all those updates. But I really do wish there was an accessibility feature where you could select dark mode throughout all applications and the actual iOS formatting together, like it just automatically did it for you, whether it was a accessibility feature within the app or not. Like I just wish it would kind of like just do it for the entire phone, like do it for the entire device, just automatically do it, but not invert images and stuff. Just, like dark mode, just dark mode for everything. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. Has anybody else joined us? We're kind of just hanging out today for our blind community chat, talking about independence fatigue and accessibility now, talking about dark mode and how wonderful having that contrast inverted is a lot easier. I'm going to check in.
12:40 p.m. Joseph has it 0101. 12:46 p.m. Joseph has it. Page 3 of 3. 12:47 p.m. Joseph has it 0101. I think smart invert colors inverts the screen but not pixel videos. Custom emojis. Button. Chat message.
Okay.
Ellipsis. Text field. Send. Dim.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
12:46 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I use iPhone. I use VoiceOver little.
Okay. Yeah. I started using VoiceOver a lot more because it's like I can maybe pick out one word in a sentence, if that like was super big. But because of my Stargardt's disease, I have zero central vision. It's like the blind spot is there's no central vision at all. And it's like I can't position my eyes it's like I can just, if I focus on one part of the sentence or the comment, then the other part disappears. And it's like trying to get my eyes to line up just perfectly for me to try to piece together the comments and read like a sequence of words in a way that makes sense is so freaking hard and exhausting, and it takes forever that I'm just like, I just bag it, y'all. I just need to turn my screen reader on. So yeah, ironically, I had more of a difficult time getting used to audio description than I did my screen reader. Has anyone else experienced that? Like my screen reader, I love it because I'll triple click and I'll just easily turn it off and on as needed. But just getting used to always having audio description on for TV shows and stuff like that, it took a little bit to get used to, especially if it was like with my children. I grew up watching Disney movies as a child, and of course I was watching them without the audio description then. And so now that I'm watching all these old school Disney movies and I've got audio description turned on, it's so different because there's times when it'll mute, like for example, Lion King. It'll mute some of my favorite songs to describe the animation, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to listen to your audio description. I want to hear the song, but I can't like quickly navigate and turn audio description off because by the time I get it turned off, I want it right back on. So anyway, I have I don't know, a love-hate relationship, just trying to adjust, and it's all part of adapting, right? We all get used to it eventually, but I struggled more in the beginning with audio description because of that. I'm used to it now. It's all good now, but there are times still when I'm just like, ugh. I'm actually fortunate because my kids don't even know any different. And when their friends come over, they're like, why is the TV talking? How can we turn that off? And I'm like, yeah, we can turn it off. And it's so funny because my kids are so oblivious to it now. They don't know any different or any better or worse. So it is what it is. And so I'm blessed in that they don't mind having audio description on all the time.
12:52 p.m. Try again.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if we got anyone new in the chat, but if you are listening to today's live lunch stream, we are talking about independence fatigue, accessibility. We've kind of covered a good gamut today. And I've got Mackenzie from Knitting Gone Blind, Tyler from Dukes of Hazzard.
12:46 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. Inward column 80 wondering who else uses the dark. 12:46 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 12:46 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. Inward column 80 wondering who else uses the dark mode for YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. I use Inward for everything. 12:47 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I think for inward colors versus screen optics. 12:50 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have only central vision, no side vision.
Okay, so do you have an RP, Tyler? Because that's what it sounds like. So we're the opposite.
12:50 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have only central vision, no side vision.
So I have no central vision. So I only have what's on the sides. So, and of course, central vision is usually what we use to read and to see distance and to kind of, I don't know, focus on things. But yeah, it's like I can usually get the general idea of my surroundings and environment, like the big scale things, but none of the little stuff. Nothing little, no writing, and nothing like that. I don't have enough central vision anymore.
12:50 p.m. Dukes of Hazzard 0101. I have only central vision, no side vision. Page 3 of 3. 12:50 p.m. Ending online. Yes, same here. 12:53 p.m. 2 I have a little bit vision. I have about 15% vision left.
Okay. Okay. So you have like kind of extreme, like tunnel vision.
12:50 p.m. 2 I have only central vision, no side vision. 12:47 p.m. 2 I think smart different colors inverts the screen, but not pixel videos.
Okay.
Voiceover off.
Mackenzie, thank you so much for continuing to hang out with me. All right. I think I am up to date on the chat.
Voiceover on. YouTube. 12:53 p.m. 2 I have a little bit vision. I have about 15% vision. 12:53 p.m. Julia Oliver. Hi. What exactly is Independence Fatigue?
Oh, well, welcome, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So we'll do a quick little recap. Mackenzie and Tyler, if y'all don't mind, definitely chime in on the chat on, if there's any specific way that you experience independence fatigue that is different from myself, if there's something you have to do. But once I explain it to Julia, just a brief little synopsis of it, I want to try to talk about coping strategies and move into just how we can manage this phase of our disabled life and kind of how we pull ourselves through it. So Julia, what independence fatigue is, it is something I made up years ago for a phase that I kept experiencing over and over from time to time. And I did a TikTok video on it a couple days ago and got, overwhelming comments and responses and reviews. And I'm so glad I did, because for a long time I felt like I was the only one experiencing this, and that I just wasn't sure if it was normal. And what I was experiencing was I had studied compassion fatigue in school. I knew I was not experiencing compassion fatigue in just day-to-day life. However, I was starting to feel just really apathetic and unmotivated for the day's struggles, frustrations, irritations, just tackling the day's independence and all the extra hoops and barriers and adapting and doing everything differently that takes me so much longer, and then watch everybody else do it in 5 seconds. And so I was noticing that from time to time, I would have these days or weeks where I didn't want to. I was mentally and emotionally done. It's like going above and beyond just, the compassion fatigue that you hear in workplaces and such, and that caregivers and stuff experience. It's kind of like, it's like that, but only towards independence. It's like, I don't want to shrug my responsibilities and chores and life things and self-care. And I don't want to shrug that off on anybody else. But at the same time, it's all right if I take a couple of days off. It's like I need a little independence vacation, because in being independent as a disabled person or with anyone with a chronic illness, any challenge like that where we have to work a little extra harder for our independence, that extra frustration, irritation builds up and it just wears us down. And I did not realize for a long time that that's what was going on, and that it is okay to take a break from being independent from time to time, because the effort of being independent is very taxing. And able-bodied people experience it as well. I just think the disabled community and those with chronic illness experience it at a higher frequency and are more at risk of experiencing it than able-bodied people, because of the extra stress, frustration, irritation, and such that we have to manage and deal with and cope with every hour of the day. So independence fatigue is what I named this years ago. And again, I wasn't sure if anybody else experienced it, but I just noticed this phase and I'm like, I need to call this something. And that's what I ended up landing on. And I did a TikTok video just seeing if anybody else could relate, what people thought about it. And I was just overwhelmed with the responses across the board. I mean, there were people that were like, hey, I'm hearing impaired. And yes, ma'am, I can totally relate. Or, oh, I'm a wheelchair user. Yes, I can totally relate. I mean, I had people across the disability spectrum really validate that. And so, I heard several people were like, you know what, you're onto something. Yes. Thank you for putting a name to it. And so I wanted to continue this important conversation farther with you guys here on YouTube and just really kind of get your all's input and see if this speaks to you on your journey and kind of help put a term and name for it and validate your experiences that, you know what, it is okay if you take a break. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you are less of a person or that you're less independent or that someone's going to think you can't do something simply because they catch you on the one day where you're like, I just need a break. Today's my independence fatigue vacation, don't think that because you're going to have so many opportunities. Every other day of the year, right? We're proving to everybody that, yes, I can do this despite being blind and, showing up. And there's days it's okay to not feel like you have to show up. So I'm going to check in on the chat and then we'll talk about some coping and just managing and pulling through these phases.
12:47 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. I think smart different colors and versus screen but not pixel videos. 12:50 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. I have 12:53 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. I have a little vision. I have about 15% vision left. 12:53 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. I have a little vision. I have 12:53 p.m. Julie Holly, page 44. 12:50 p.m. Bidding online. Yes, same here. 12:53 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. I have a little vision. I have about 15%. 12:57 p.m. Julie Oliver, you are not alone in this.
Okay, cool.
12:58 p.m. Tuesday has 0101. But how old were you when you lost most of your vision?
So I started, Tyler, I started losing my eyesight around age 5. And I was legally blind by age 11. And then 20/400 by like late teens, early 20s. I can't really recall because by then I was like legally blind. What difference does it make? And it was kind of like the whole bitterness of, I know I can't drive, so what the hell difference does it make? What acuity the doctors say I was. So I know I was somewhere around 20/400 in my late teens, early 20s. And I stabilized there for a little while, though my depth perception and color perception were still continuing to change. And then I hit another big spike in sight loss in my 30s. So now I'm way beyond 20/400. I'm guessing I am somewhere over 20/1,000. I think one of the last eye doctor specialist appointment I had, I think in her conversions of the low vision measurements to the like 20/20 kind of standard measurement, I think her math was wrong because she said I was 20/2100 in one of my eyes. My right eye is better than my left. And I don't know if I'm quite that bad, but I am totally night blind. So I guess, I don't know. But anyway, so let me see.
12:53 p.m. Julie Oliver, hi, what exactly is independence fatigue? 12:56 p.m. Bidding online. Got to go to a meeting. Keep up the great work.
Oh, bye, Mackenzie. I'm sure you've probably already skedaddled, but thank you, Mackenzie, for joining.
Julie Oliver, you are not alone in this.
Julia, I'm so glad you can relate to that. But this is just kind of the word that I've given this, and it's sort of something that I'm going to begin now that you all have validated me. It's something in my now I'm like in coping. Now I'm like kind of in coping mode. Like, okay, now that I've recognized it. Sorry, y'all. Now that I'm in like coping strategy mode, I'm now wanting to begin having the conversations with my family, my husband, and just letting that way I can communicate, hey guys, I'm experiencing a bit of independence fatigue this week. So if you can help pick up some extra trash or pick up some extra chore here and there or whatever, or just wait, but just know things are going to get kind of behind this week. And I will catch up when mommy's feeling better. So those are some of the narratives that I'm starting to kind of build in my head, that I'm hoping to begin those types of communications with my family, because it's important to have not just these blind community chats with each other, but to continue them with the immediate people, the people we live with in our lives, so that our communication is on point, it's up to date, and we are involving them in our day-to-day journey in management, because our disability doesn't only impact us, it impacts the people we live with and our team, our life team, and our resources, and our loved ones. And so because it impacts them as well, you've got to have good communication. So that's what I'm gonna. Okay. Oh wow. So I don't know about you, Tyler. I've talked about this before, where I absolutely hate the word stable, because to me, stable implies that there's never any changes. That's misleading to me, because they told me I would you'll get to a point where you're stabilized, period. They never told me that, oh, you might stabilize for a month, for a year, for 10 years, but then you won't be stable. Like, it's like there's the whole dips and valleys thing. And so it's like I had this negative association now with the word stabilize, because to me it implies, all right, I've plateaued, I'm now at what's working for me now is going to work for me next year. And I've learned that no, that's not the case. It's kind of deceptive in that way. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to see. Okay.
1:02 p.m. Julia Oliver, what did you study in school?
What did I study in school? So, Julia, I was ironically, it's funny. Well, it's not, but I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a second. So I studied music therapy. I graduated with a music therapy degree and emphasis in pediatrics. So I was a music therapist for about 10 years. I did some private contracting work, and then was full-time as a pediatric oncology music therapist for 5 years or so. And then, did the private contracting, private practice type of work again, and then took off to Korea to teach English as a second language. So I did some ESL training, and then came back as a music therapist, and my well just ran dry. And then when I was losing more and more vision, I was really, really struggling with trying to memorize all the words and all the music and all the chords, and keeping up with all the latest and greatest that the kids kept requesting. And music has always been a passion of mine. I used to love music because it fed me, but I didn't realize by making music therapy my career, my job, that I would be focusing on music so much for everyone else that I no longer had time to help it feed me, if that makes sense. And so I really just, my well ran dry with music therapy. I became just very apathetic about it. And I have all the love and respect for the field, but not as a practicing professional anymore. So ironically, that's a decision I came to a few years back. I quit my music therapy job to become a mom. And while I've been raising my children, I have determined that I'm not going to go back into music therapy when I enter back into the workforce. So I'm going to kind of see where all of this kind of work that I've been doing with Seeing Blind takes me. It might not take me anywhere, and that's okay. But it's just something that I can hopefully build upon and keep, if anything, keep my skills up so that when I enter the workforce, I kind of have, those skills still there and something to kind of platform me into my next career choice, if that makes sense.
1:02 p.m. Julie Oliver. What did you study at school? 1:02 p.m. Joseph has a 0101. I am night blind as well. Page 5 of 5.
Oh, Tyler, you're night blind too? Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. It's so funny. My kids will ask, Mommy, is my hair crazy? And I'm like, well, baby, it's nighttime. I have no idea.
Chat message input. Chat public is chapter. 1:06 p.m. 1:06 p.m. Joseph has a 0101. Was nice JK5. Custom emojis. Button. Chat message input. 1:06 p.m. Joseph has a 0101. Was nice JK5.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to just talk. I'm going to conclude with today's little blind community chat with some coping strategies and where my thoughts are on this. This is still new. I'm still processing it, still kind of reflecting on this. But here's where I stand, because I think since it is something we all clearly do kind of connect with, I think it's important that now we start sharing how we manage it and cope and pull through. So I mentioned earlier communication. I think communication is where a lot of resolution occurs with a lot of disability topics and issues like this. I think communication is always like just one of those good places to start. And so I think communicating with those in your lives that, hey, independence fatigue is this is how I'm feeling right now. And, so if you see me just kind of taking it easy or asking for help with a few extra things the next couple of days, that's what's going on. And I think giving them that heads up and rationale is a good way to clue them in so they know, okay, I know, they know what to expect. They're not blindsided, or they don't get bitter if they see you and just assume you're being lazy or something like that. So I think by communicating that, it will also help address any of those insecurities you have towards taking a break. Because for some people, I'm at times one of them. Sometimes I feel so guilty when I am sitting on the couch and I am just kind of piddling around on my social, watching some TikToks, and my husband's like just getting home from work and here I am on the couch, and I'm like, oh, sorry, honey, I don't want you to think I'm being lazy today. By God, I've already done 3 loads of laundry and cleaned the house and stuff, but now I'm done. I'm tired. I like mentally and emotionally, I'm done. And so communicating, I think, is one great way to help address some of the insecurities and just cluing the people, our loved ones in our lives, and just cluing them in and bringing them in on the journey with you. I think a second thing is giving yourself a goal, or not necessarily a goal, but like a, kind of like a goal. Like, okay, I want to try to give myself 2 days, but by day 3, I need to pick myself up and continue on. Kind of like vacations. We can't stay on vacations forever, right? We can't, when we're taking a sick day, we can't just take an indefinite sick, leave of absence sort of thing. So I would try to just have a goal in mind, like, okay, I'm recognizing I am in compassion fatigue. Like, okay, how long do I want to give myself? How long of a break do I need? And have an idea in your mind. That way, when you are, and of course it can always change. It's not anything you have to stick to and be rigid about. For me personally, by allowing myself, like, okay, I'm going to take the day. Okay, no, I need 2 days. That way I know, okay, by 3, it's like I get that little extra motivation and push to pull myself out of it and continue forward. And I also know that, okay, for that 24, 48 hours, that I need to make the most of it. and I need to do whatever I need to do to refresh, to recoup, to improve my mood, my stamina, my whatever. I need to up my self-care, whatever I need to do, but I need to use that time wisely to pull myself through. So it's like it almost gives you an extra safety net of accountability by just kind of giving yourself, all right, you're recognizing, okay, I'm in independence fatigue. I'm going to take 24 hours to do this and this to address it, or I'm going to take 48 hours or a week, however long, it doesn't matter. It's listen to your heart and what you need, and be flexible with it. But by addressing, I think, a time frame, it can serve as a little extra oomph to pull you through it, if you will. So that's just where I am at in my reflections on independence fatigue right now, y'all. I would love to hear your all's thoughts and comments down below. Otherwise, my friends, I'm going to start bringing our chat to a close. If you have any questions, now's the time to put them in before we conclude this afternoon.
1 p.m. Due to the hazard 0101. I was about 12 when I lost the condition almost 21 stay stable. 1:02 p.m. Due to the hazard 0101. I am 9 as well. 1:06 p.m. Due to the hazard 0101. Was nice changing by. Welcome to the chat. Remember to mark your privacy and the community guidelines. Page 5 of 5.
Okay. I think I'm up to date.
Learn more. Button. Custom emojis. Button.
Okay. So, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you all so much for joining today's live blind community chat. Please make sure you've turned your notifications on, my friends, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you can catch the next blind community chat. We plan to do these every Tuesday and Thursday. And, there might be a time here and there that we might miss one, and that's okay. It's simply because got my life to do as well during lunchtime. But otherwise, I'll see you every Tuesday and Thursday around the 12:15 mark. And I look forward to meeting and greeting and getting to know you guys as well, and any issues and where you are at on your journey. Okay, that's it. I'll talk to y'all next time. Blessings to you